Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, where, as always, we're working on your financial freedom. I'm Mike Harrison. It's my privilege to be joining you today, and I want to thank you for tuning in. I have two important points I want to get across today. I hope you can stick with me for the entire show. The first point discusses, in generalities, deal selection, and whether that's a single-family property or a multifamily property, whether you're buying a small apartment community or participating as a passive investor in that property. And the other point, which is going to take up the majority of the show, pretty much the second half, and it may be difficult to get across, but the concept essentially, it's regarding how much of a role in your day-to-day lifestyle or your monthly lifestyle that your 401k or your IRA retirement plan plays in your day-to-day. And so that portion of the show is going to be for you W-2 earners that are feeding that 401k or that IRA, and let's say to a tune of 15 or 20% or greater on a monthly basis. There was a time in my life where the most important entity, at least financially, was the 401k. You see, my 401k received more money than the cost of my mortgage and my tax payments. And if you're not from Texas, property tax in Texas is pretty steep. So that was a lot of money, but my 401k got more money. Annually, the 401k took more than our grocery budget. The 401k took more than our entertainment budget. It darn sure took more than our vacation budget. And a lot of you out there are going, yeah, Harrison, of course. That's what they teach us. You feed that 401k. It's the most important entity in your life. But where I'm going is there's a better way to feed your retirement, if you want to call it that. I call it financial freedom, in volumes much greater than you can possibly imagine. And you can have your 20% back or your 15% back or whatever you're designating to be pulled out of your check on a monthly basis. What if you can have that back in your pocket, put it toward your lifestyle, yet still feed what they tell you is so important, that bag of money? If you want to call it that, if you want to feed it, I'll give you a plan to feed it, and it will feed much greater, and you can have the 15 or 20% back in your pocket. I'm living it, friends. I'm living it right now. And I'm going to share those details later in the show, so I hope you can stick with me. Now, if you miss any part of the show, how can you find it? Well, YouTube channel's pretty nifty. Go to YouTube. You can type in Lifestyles Unlimited, Mike Harrison. You can type in Del Walmsley or just Lifestyles Unlimited, and you'll find the YouTube channel there. You'll find this show, but you'll find a lot of other case studies, a lot of other snippets, that sort of thing. It's pretty interesting if you go spend some time there. The podcast, of course, go to your favorite podcast app on your smartphone, subscribe to Lifestyles Unlimited, and then naturally the website, lifestylesunlimited.com. Click on the radio button. You'll find this show and many other shows there. If you want to search for a specific topic, say self-directed IRA, go all the way down, scroll all the way down. There's a little search bar in the bottom right, and you can type in SD IRA or 401k or taxes or single-family homes, any sort of subject, and you'll find literally there's probably 10, 15 years worth of the radio show there. Now, before I get to the rest of the show, I want to share a funny meme that my wife sent me this week. I think it's funny. For many of you, it may cut a little close to the bone. It's a little edgy when you think about it. Here it goes. Let me just share it. And it's a meme, and literally it says, "My boss arrived at work in a brand new Ferrari." I said, "Wow, That's an amazing car. He replied, if you work hard, put all of your hours in, strive for excellence, I'll get another one just like it next year. When you think about it, that really sums up quite a bit of what we talk about here at Lifestyles Unlimited, whether it's today's show or all of our shows in general, about how we are tied to that W-2 job in order to live our life. We're really trading our time for our life. And I know how that feels. When I was in corporate America, I grew a sales portfolio from $12 million to over $100 million. Took me 10 years. That $100 million came in at over a 40-point margin. Quick math, I was making them over $40 million a year in profit. At a certain point of my sales growth, there was a big disagreement between me and the corporate honchos. That disagreement, listen to this, was over 1/1000% commission, $112,000. That was a fight I had this year. I just made you over $40 million, and you're fighting me on a $112,000 commission. Yes, that's corporate America, my friends. My company refused to pay it. They said I was overcompensated compared to other reps. I told them I put in more hours, more time than other reps. Yes, Dallas-Fort Worth, North Texas. It's a bit busier than Boise, Idaho, Sacramento, California. Nothing against those places, but we're busier here. We have more business. We have more business in the state of Nebraska, Montana, New Mexico, and Iowa combined. But I put in the hours, the phone calls, the late nights, stayed up till 2 a.m. twice a week, the emails, the budgets. Yet they capped me. They told me I was only allowed to earn a certain amount, no matter how hard I worked, how many nights I spent on the road, how many days away from home, how many hours per week. So does that Ferrari joke hit close to home with me? You're darn right it does. But that's when I knew I was going to leave. We'll be right back. We'll cover my 2 points I mentioned earlier. This is the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back. I'm Mike Harrison. If you have any questions about real estate investing, how to get started, anything at all, please send me an email. I do respond personally. My email address is askmike@luinc.com. Askmike@luinc.com. What is Lifestyles Unlimited? Lifestyles Unlimited is an educational and mentoring group. We've been in business over 30 years. We have members in all 50 states. That's where I learned effectively to invest in real estate. You see, I started 11 years ago on my own, but I joined Lifestyles Unlimited 9 years ago. Since that time, my portfolio today, it's over 3,500 doors of cash flowing real estate. This year will be our largest year. 2021 was our largest year prior to this year. 2020 was our largest year prior to that. Are you seeing a pattern? I want you to stick with me. That pattern's going to make more sense in the latter half of the show when I get to my second point. Now I'm going to discuss my first point, and I'll use the remainder of this segment to do so. And it's in regards to deal selection. Really, as a general overview, whether it's a single-family home or a multifamily opportunity, again, whether it's a passive or even purchasing your first multifamily property. But I see a lot of paralysis, typically on someone's first investment, but I've seen it on some latter investments. But you're educated. You've gone through our Financial Freedom Program, and I've taken that seminar 5 times myself. We have many members that have taken it many, many more times than that. But that's where we teach you everything you need to know. We have unlimited question and answer. Some of our higher levels of membership, we have mentors that you can utilize. You have everything right there in your hands. Yet I still see a little bit of paralysis on purchasing that first property or that second property or that third property. I get it. I was there myself. You see, I joined in April of 2013 Again, I owned a property prior to Lifestyles Unlimited. It took me 6 months. I didn't buy that first property using the Lifestyles Unlimited plan until October of 2013. Why did it take me so long? I was looking for the perfect deal. I had the money. It wasn't finances at all. That was not the issue. The money was there, ready to be deployed. I was waiting on the perfect property, and I had to be pushed into buying that property in October of 2013. And that property was tore up. Literally, the only things good about that property were the location, the roof, and the foundation. Everything else, and I mean everything else, was a complete mess. This property even had an above-ground pool that needed to be removed. And it wasn't that it had an old air conditioner or an old hot water heater. It didn't have those. You see, the people that lived there had some dependencies, and they took those with them when they left so that they can scrap them for metal. Looking back, am I glad I purchased that property? Yes, 1,000 times over, figuratively and financially. The home was not perfect to me at the time, but it was an excellent investment. This home broke my fear. I went on to buy 10 more quickly. Looking back, I should have bought 50 more. What's the point I'm trying to make? The point I'm making is there's always going to be a trade-off. There are no perfect deals. There just aren't. There's always going to be something. But to be successful, you need to understand this. If you're waiting for the perfect opportunity, you're going to be waiting a long time. But you know what every deal is? Every deal is part of a solution. Not perfect, but part of a solution. A solution. Every deal you invest in is a solution to your time. It's a solution to your income. It's a solution to your future wealth. Understand that a cash-flowing asset is part of the solution. It's why you started looking at real estate to invest in to begin with. It's why you invest in real estate. It's why you invest in cash-flowing streams of income. Is there a trade-off? Yes, but that's the point of the show. There are no perfect deals. Every home I purchased had a trade-off. I bought a home on the corner of a busy street. I wasn't happy about it. The math made sense. It was the deal at the time that needed to be taken down. I bought a 4-bedroom property when I was looking for a 322. It popped up. I was like, it's a little big. The math makes sense. I bought a home where the garage had been converted into a bedroom. I knew I would need to convert it back. I wasn't happy about it. The deal made sense. I bought a home that had 5 giant trees in the backyard that had to be removed. It was going to be expensive. It was a trade-off. I still purchased the home. I bought a home where the neighbors were, let's just say, collectors. They had more junk in the front of their home, the back of their home, the sides. I can imagine what was inside. The house next door, the deal made sense. It was a trade-off. I wasn't happy about it. I bought homes with foundation issues. I bought a home that had pit bulls next door behind a rickety fence. I'm not going to move a family into my property with 2 alligators on the other side. What a disaster. I had to solve that issue. I bought homes that needed full window replacements. I bought a home that had 12 animals and 9 humans living in it. There's a trade-off. Another one, dishwasher leak. The floors were all warped. So were the baseboards. Still bought it. Don't let the excuses get in the way of changing your financial future. For you 401k and IRA investors that are still doing that and you hadn't bought your first property or you're hesitant to buy your second one, let me ask you this. Are you putting that much scrutiny into every stock of every mutual fund that you've invested in? No. That's an impossible task. So why are you treating real estate investments to a level of scrutiny that is greater than the level of investigation you placed in the stock market? I know why. Because you've been preconditioned to trust the system, trust the market, trust the mutual fund providers. If you're watching the Masters tournament, look at the commercials. They're all stock market people. Look at it's ingrained in your mind. Look at the logos on the hats and the shirts of the golfers. They're all financial groups. You've been preconditioned to trust that, yet you're over-scrutinizing this real estate asset that's about to pay you another $400 a month. You can do the same thing in multifamily. I get it. The deals aren't as good today as they were 3 years, 5 years, 7 to 10 years ago. But don't get paralyzed. This is part of the solution. There will always be a trade-off. There are no perfect deals, but you still need to engage and grow and move forward.
Del Walmsley on how to live the lifestyle.
You can see a lot of people that are going through their savings rapidly, especially during the pandemic when there was no work going on. People that work for short periods of time had a lot of problems because there was no jobs for them. The second problem they experienced, though, was that they don't have savings accounts because there's no savings plan set up. There's no 401k, there's no IRA. Again, you should have that on your own. Even without a 401k or IRA, you should have some type of investment plan. But the most important ones, I think, was the one before that, which is said people don't know how to invest. Even if you have a savings plan, and obviously if you put in a 401k and IRA, you really can't control it. But even if you do have an investment plan, you have to know how to invest your money to be able to do what we do here at Lifestyles, which is make a lot of money. Let's just put a cap on it. What do? We make a lot more money than the average person makes in their savings plans, with their savings plans. In other words, we take monies, just like everybody else does, that we've saved from some type of income producing situation, and we invest it.
My name is Mike Harrison. This is the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, where, as always, we're working on your financial freedom. I'm Mike Harrison. I appreciate you tuning in today. If you missed that the second segment, I was discussing that there's always going to be a trade-off. There are no perfect deals. So for you people that are sitting out there and you're looking at this house or that house to purchase and you want to rent it out and you want to follow our plan and you're getting held back because of this or because of that or because of this nuance, there are no perfect deals. Understand that these are all part of a solution. In my investments that have come full circle, and by full circle, purchase, you rehab, you rent it, you either refinance it or you sell it. And that's whether it's single family or multifamily. I can look back, and if we're going to use the old baseball analogy in regards to these deals, right? Single, double, home run, grand slam. I think you know what I'm getting at here is as far as how much did we make in profit off of that particular asset. Do you know how many home runs I was able to predict at the beginning when I was analyzing the property, when I was deciding whether or not to purchase it? 0. I did not look at one deal and go, this is a home run. That home run will show itself later in the ownership process. Typically, 18 months, 2 years, might even be 4 years. I had a home that took about it took over 4 years. It was about 6 years. It wasn't a home run. It was a grand slam. But it took a while to realize it. But you see, if we're going to continue that analogy, when I'm looking at these properties and I'm deciding whether to buy a particular property, I was investing for the single or even the double. And with that, I knew I would be successful. I knew it would be a good investment of my time and my finances. But if you stay with that strategy, the home runs are going to come, I promise you. And if you keep doing it enough, you're going to get the grand slam. But what I want you to understand is don't be afraid to start. Be more afraid of spending 30 to 40 years working for somebody else. That's what you should be afraid of. And if you're just now tuning in and this is your first time listening to this show, if you don't know who Lifestyles Unlimited is, but you know you're interested in investing in real estate, I invite you to our workshop. At our workshop, we're going to tell you how we invest in real estate, how we run our businesses, how we make money 5 different ways on single-family properties. 6 different ways on multifamily properties. Where can you find that? LifestylesUnlimitedWorkshop.com. LifestylesUnlimitedWorkshop.com. It's interactive. It's not a video. It's how I started, but it's easy. I had to go in person. You can just tune in the comfort of your living room chair, but I suggest you check it out. If you want to join Lifestyles Unlimited, where do you do that? GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Once you join, it's $297. That'll get you 2 years, but you need to use the promo code SAVEBIG, SAVEBIG in all capital letters. Save Big. That will knock that price down to $297 for 2 years. What does that get you? Well, that enables you to then take our Financial Freedom Seminar, where you can learn how to invest in real estate assets, top to bottom. You can take it as many times as you want. It's 16 hours. It's a 2-day, 16-hour deal. Day 1 is single-family homes. Day 2 is multifamily properties. That's where I learned. I've taken that class 5 times. My second point of today's show, and this one's going to be a bit more difficult to explain, but here we go. And it's really for you retirement savers out there that are feeding the 401k and or the IRA or both. You know who you are. I was one of you. And let me say this. Don't we get a bit more desperate when we turn 40? You see, at 40, you start thinking, I'll be 60 in no time, in only 20 years. My plan was to retire at 60. That was my goal. I was going to buy a vacation home, travel the world with my beautiful bride, just like they show us in the commercials, right? My wife deserves it. After all, she has done without, sacrificed, deferred. She wasn't deferring just once. We were deferring needs. But at 40, you start looking at that clock. You start saying, am I going to be able to make it by the time I'm 60? Or maybe it's going to be 65. Maybe it's going to be 70. Am I going to be able to save enough to live that dignified retirement, to do everything that we had been suppressing and putting off for 30 or 40 years? I began to think, will retirement be better or worse than life is now? I mean, they tell us that we're going to live on less, right? Isn't that what they teach us? But all I wanted by the time I got to be 60 was to pay the house off, provide college for my kids if they wanted to go, to pay for the 2 weddings of my daughters, to get the kids a used car, to pay for the braces times 3. Yes, all 3 of my kids were blessed with crooked teeth, so braces times 3, family vacations, to pay for sports. My kids are all sporty. So we were beyond the rec league. We had select leagues. And for you parents out there, I think you know where I'm going. Select leagues are expensive. You got travel, league fees, coach fees, equipment. We weren't asking for the world. We were just trying to maintain to be Joe middle class. And during that time, to sacrifice, the goal was a retirement with dignity. And I was shooting for 60. And we were struggling to maintain that everyday, middle class, 3 kids and a dog, suburban lifestyle. And during this entire time, do you know who was not struggling during this phase of our life? Was not sacrificing? Who never did without? Well, that was my 401k. You see, while we're just getting by, my 401k was thriving. It ate 20% of everything I brought home. Friends, my 401k was a parasite. The definition of parasite is an organism that lives off of and feeds off of another organism. And that was my 401k. You see, I gave 20%, sometimes more. But that 20%, looking back, and I can look back now, it's been 5 years. That 20% was the difference between living in relative security, eliminating a little bit of stress in your life, to figuring out what to sacrifice on a monthly and sometimes weekly basis. That 20%, well, it made the difference in our vacations. We drove our cars longer, 10 plus years. We didn't buy clothes very often. We deferred home maintenance. Sometimes we had to tell the kids no, and that hurt. And I'm not about spoiling kids, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you got to say, hey, we just can't afford to do that. Grocery shopping was stressful. Christmas was stressful. Our home was a 3-2. When my third child came along, I knew we needed a bigger place. We deferred that. But you know what never did without? That was my 401k, and that was my life 10 years ago. What are you giving up? There's a better way, friends. We're going to discuss it on the other side.
Del will be back in a moment, but first, this intel from the files of Del Walmsley.
When you have a race, the only guy that wins is number 1. 2 is not a winner, and 3 no one remembers. That's a rap song from somebody, Nelly, I think. And you have to realize is that what really pays in life is that last 10% of effort. But if you're doing the wrong thing, even that Superman effort isn't going to get you the results. I think Vince Lombardi said it best. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. I think that's the real point that needs to be heard. And so if you go out there and you're practicing that which doesn't work, doing more of that which doesn't work doesn't improve your life by a significant amount.
This is the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. It's time to turn up the volume and fine-tune your passive income plan so you can create the lifestyle you've always wanted.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Mike Harrison. If you're just now tuning in, you're going to want to catch the previous segment. I'm making a point that if you're a serious retirement saver, investor, feeding that 401k, that IRA, having that auto withdrawal out of your paycheck, 15% a month, 20% a month, maybe you're playing catch up, you're doing more than 20%, there's a much better way. What if I told you you can put that 15 to 20% back in your pocket, yet still invest in your future? If you want to call it your retirement, go ahead. I call it financial freedom. But you can still invest at a level that is so much higher than that 15 or 20%. And I don't know what you're earning a year. If you're earning $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, I'm telling you, you can get to a level, you can put that 15 or 20% back in your pocket, put it toward your lifestyle. That would have been a big difference in our life. If I had that 20%, it would have changed the game for us 10 years ago. I'm telling you right now, I didn't know what I didn't know. But you can grow your future wealth in a much better way. But looking back, my 401k was a parasite. My lifestyle and my family suffered as a result. And now everything I'm saying is probably sacrilegious to a lot of you. But think of it. The 401k ate 20% of everything I brought home. That is the definition of a parasite. It's an organism that feeds off of another organism. The 401k was feeding off of our family's lifestyle. I cashed out my 401k. From 2016 to 2018, I started putting it into real estate assets. I never gave it another dollar. Now, I had some loans back in the original time when I pulled from the 401k and I paid those back. And maybe I was still paying some loans during that time. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I just know I'm out of it. And I haven't given it another dollar. But my quote-unquote retirement plan, if you want to call it that, I call it financial freedom, grows much greater annually than that 15 or 20%, even in my good years. Way more than that. I mean, to the tune, even my best year of all the money I earned in corporate America, I'm looking back, I will probably put 20 times what I put in that 401k in 2022 into my cash flow snowball. 20 times that. That astounds me. I mean, even looking back, it shocks me But that's what real estate can do if you compound it and you reinvest and you put it back into that snowball and you grow it and you grow it and you grow it. Imagine a snowball rolling down a snow-covered hill. That's your real estate portfolio. At first, the snowball is small. It's slow. It rolls down the hill. But as it rolls, because it gets heavier, it's collecting additional snow, right? I think we all understand the analogy. And its descent, it's pure physics, right? It gains momentum. And then in turn, that momentum makes the snowball grow even larger, which makes it go even faster, which makes it grow even larger. Real estate investing is the same. And I know that's a very simple analogy. Let me give you some facts. 2018, I began investing passively. And I was using money from properties that I was selling and my 401k money. By the end of 2018, I was in 5 multifamily deals, multifamily opportunities that I had invested in as a passive investor. And if you need more information on what that is, if you're new to the show, please send me an email, askmike@luinc.com, askmike@luinc.com. So it started then. It was a small snowball. It was moving slowly. Just kept feeding it. Anytime I've got a refinance from a property or a sale of a property or anything that I can gather up on my own on the other side, I would put into that cash flow snowball. So moving forward, by 2021, I was able to reinvest money from the sales and the refinances equivalent to everything I had invested in dollars in 2019 and 2020 combined. So 2021 by itself was as big as 2019 and 2020. Now, so far, we've only gone through one quarter. It's April 2022, so we've only gone through one quarter of 2022. Let me tell you how this snowball is rolling. I have put in more to that snowball in 2022 than I did in all of 2021, and it's only been one quarter. Do you see what I'm talking about? Do you understand? Do you think that 401k would mean anything to me today? No, it means nothing. Your momentum grows as your real estate assets grow. Before the end of this year, I believe I'll be able to deploy just like I did on this first quarter for the remaining 3 quarters, maybe 2 or 3 times what I did this quarter. The snowball is rolling, but it took 5 years. The time factor compounds the investment. So if you're looking at this as an equation, you've got money times rate of return times time, and that equals financial freedom. You can even use that in your 401k, money times rate of return times time on your 401k, and they always tell you that time needs to be 40 years. 40 years! And life isn't getting any cheaper, it's getting more expensive. But let me ask you this, if your rate of return is enormous, time becomes less of a factor. Money even becomes less significant. If you're doubling your money every 3 to 4 years, let's say you start with $50,000. 3 years from now, it's $100,000. 6 years from now, it's $200,000. 9 years from now, it's $400,000. 12 years from now, it's $800,000. 15, it's 1.6. So if the rate is massive, time and money becomes less significant. But what's most important is getting started. Remember what I said. You shouldn't be afraid to get started. You should be afraid to work for someone for 30 or 40 years. And I'm sharing this perspective because now I can look back. You can take that 15 or 20% and put it toward your lifestyle. Your 401k is a parasite. If you're sacrificing like I was, and you probably are, it's taken away from your lifestyle. There's a better way. You can grow much faster. Now, while this is happening, all I'm talking about is the compounding of this real estate snowball, this cash flow snowball. I never even mentioned the cash flow. That's the best part. As this snowball grows, the cash flow grows. It provides money back to me on a quarterly basis. You know something that 401k never gave our family? It never gave us a dime. Not one red cent. But that cash flow snowball for me, well, it's nice. It's financing the vacations, the dinners out, mad money for my wife. I call it mad money because I deposit it into her account every month, and it's just whatever, go do this, go whatever you want to do. I don't want to know about it. It finances additional expenses that used to stress us out, all because we got started. So 2 very, very important points to understand. There's not going to be any perfect deals. There's always going to be a trade-off. Okay, so if you're sitting there and you're looking, you've got the money to invest, and you're looking at 4 or 5 different multifamily properties, and I've got a spreadsheet if you want to get down to the nitty-gritty, but let's just look at it as an overall generality, and I'll send you that spreadsheet if you want it. My email address is askmike@luinc.com. But you're looking at all the generalities, and you're saying, but this deal is here location, and I don't necessarily like that location. And this deal, well, the cash flow is not as great in the first year. And you're looking at this deal and you're saying, well, I'm not sure about the plan, or I'm not sure about this. I don't like the fact that it's a 1960s build. What you're doing is you're waiting on the perfect deal, and you're letting these excuses get in the way.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.